afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hello. Welcome to Build Factor.
Alright guys, so here's something that we've been needing to put together for a long time. I'm going to finish up this side of the wiring harness. We have some content that you guys will see within this video of me doing the other side. We were split when we were doing that. When I was working on that, Dom was building something else, so we didn't really get a full-on video of start to finish. So I'm going to take this side and show you guys our process for doing a wire tuck start to finish. So what we've done first of all is we've run the wires. I think you guys have seen this in our bay video when we very first started the project. We've run our wires back through, split the loom, pulled out the wires that are important to run forward. They've been passed through the grommet, pulled out, so everything's watertight still. We haven't hacked anything. If we needed to drill holes and put grommets in, we could do that and then keep it wet, watertight to the wire loom. This was an easier option for us. We have plenty of wire. So I've got this much leader here. We've got about 3 feet. We've gone to the junkyard and we've grabbed harnesses out of cars, Civics, just like this one. So all the colors will match, but we'll only have one splice location on like 90% of our wires. So a lot of times what I've seen the method for other builders is they'll take and they'll cut their original harness and they'll put a splice here and then a length of wire and a splice here. And either the color doesn't match or there's now 2 splices, which I'm not saying any of that's wrong, but we had the opportunity to go get the correct harness so that we can run these wires how we want them and only have one splice spot, that's only one connection that, we're no longer a solid wire. So anytime we had a connection, we had a potential for an area for something to break. Hopefully we've done our job right and we don't have to deal with that, but it's just something I'm always thinking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang this grounding spot. This is a factory thing here. Some of it ties back to the ECU, some of it runs the headlights and other things. The reason why I like to stick with these instead of running separate grounds for stuff is because if we have something that starts to not work and it's related to a ground issue, this gives me one spot to test, one spot to troubleshoot. So if in the future we've got an issue, a real weird issue where it seems like we're not getting a good ground for the headlight circuit or the horn or something like that, what we could do is we can just troubleshoot back to this one ground. We're not having to check each individual ground. So this is just a really good way to kind of save yourself some trouble. So what we'll do is where this is going to be hidden in the fender well, we're going to match the other side that I've already done. I'm going to sand a spot. I'm going to use a self-tapper, run it through, make sure that this is clean, got good connection, and then I usually take some dielectric grease and then final install it. I want this in place first. Even though the grounds might have a little bit more of a splice to them, I might have to get two splices in these grounds. Like I said, our wires will be 90% one, only one splice, but these are pretty short. That's just how they come. If I wanted to, I could probably pull these off of the main bridge that's in here and get new ends and crimp it on, but we're really not going to have a problem with all that. It's not going to be a problem. So yeah, that's it. And then I'm going to start taking wires. We've got headlights that have halos in them, so when the running light is on, the inner and this outer, the halos need to be on. I'm going to put that into this harness, but I'm not going to make it something that affects the permanent status of this harness or something that changes the way the stock harness is. I'm going to add it in to where it can be removed later, but I'm not going to make it permanent, because let's say he switches back to a factory headlight that doesn't have halos, he won't need those spare 2 wires. So really just going to try to keep the thinking clean, simple, keep troubleshooting in the future simple if we have to do it, and then also don't affect the factory setup in case we want to go back. Make it to where we can take these out and use a factory headlight and not have affected ours to where we have to cut and redo wiring. So that's pretty much it, and most of this will probably be fast forwarded. Hopefully there's not too many questions, but yeah, anyway.
Heck yeah.
So guys, what I'm doing right here is I've set this ground. I've got my clamp for my power probe on it. You may not have a power probe, that's understandable. What I'm doing is basically just checking that I've got continuity through the body. So I've used this battery that we're using just as a battery to test and fire up the lights, make sure everything's working as we go along. but I'm using my power probe to give this chassis ground, and then I'm checking this wire with my probe, and it's telling me I've got good ground. So if you had to do this with a multimeter, it would probably actually be more precise. What you could do is you could set it to ohms, and you could hold against this wire and somewhere on the body and read the ohms that you're getting through that, and it'll show you resistance. So it'll show you how good or bad of a ground you have. And that's true with this or troubleshooting grounds or anything like that. So I know this is going to be a good ground. I just wanted to check that there was no immediate issues. Obviously I'm getting continuity between it. We'll test from here to there, to the engine, to the battery, things like that. We'll test all that when we get an actual battery and cabling set up in the car. I just wanted to see if it was good for now and making a good connection through this. And it seems like it's doing well. So right now the first step that I'm going to do, these LEDs on the halos have a little resistor box. What are you doing, dog? You just trip over everything and make a bunch of noise? Go lie down. Go lie down, bud. Go lie down. Good boy. So I'm going to extend these out because the way they're set up, if we just install it, they're going to be sitting under where they're not desirable. So to keep them out of the weather, even though they're resin filled, to keep them out of the weather and stuff, we're going to lengthen these wires a little bit. Adds another connection, but I'm not too worried about it. I think they're going to be pretty good. They're pretty low amp pole. I don't think it's really going to be an issue. So we've got to extend those. You can see that they just have the same color. Obviously it'd be nice to have positive and negative here. It doesn't actually matter, but it's just, to me, it would be better. But what we're going to do is we're going to run that in with our running light wire. So with this running light wire, I've got a ton of spare wire off of the side marker running light. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit of this and actually split this into two and extend this one in a little bit and then tie also into that one. So basically the factory harness will be fed at all times as it should from the body, and then we'll have a secondary to feed like the halos and things like that. And the reason why I'm doing that is just basically because again, we want to make this to where, yeah, if you wanted the option for halos or some accessory running light in the future, you would have my wire that I'm running here. But if we got rid of that, these will be spade connectors that we could easily shrink tube over and cover over, and then not use them. So essentially we'll be doing this here. This will hook up here. This will tie into here and feed the accessory running lights as well, or the halos. And then the other side of this will be ground, and we'll just tie that in. Again, make an accessory ground, so to speak. So I'm going to get started on that. It's only a coincidence that I have stock in zip tie companies, but make sure to use a lot of zip ties to keep things organized. Because basically you want to set this up as you go along, like how it's going to be loomed when you're all said and done. So I basically start from one side and work that way, and then from that side and work this way, and if all things being equal and pressures being balanced and air and fuel being good, when you hit the gas pedal, your lights will still work. Look at that. So it's basically just taking my time, going through after all my connections, checking my my work, double checking myself. It works.
Do it again.
You know.
Can you do it again? Ooh.
So we know that works. Let's check our other one, eh? It's not stripped yet, but we can go ahead and do that.
The bulb could be out too, maybe.
Well, I hope not, because they're LEDs.
Oh yeah. On the photos and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
On the car, and he's like, he just keeps saying, here we go.
Well, I can't do that too much because I gotta go through that there box so I don't hurt these here leads.
Yeah.
Just hoping something's not wrong with this. Did those always work or no?
Yeah.
Okay. And after that, and it'll tell me what I need. Tell me everything I need to know.
So what happened, Aaron?
Well, I think this box here is toast.
For the halos?
Yeah. Which I think we've tested it, you know, periodically here and there, but it's not. It's been months
Yeah.
that they've been sitting around. So what we did is I brought this headlight assembly over to that side and plugged it in and checked our wiring, and it works over there. So I don't think it's an issue anywhere but here, which sucks because it'd be nice if it just worked. But so what we can do is I'm pretty sure these are just resistor boxes. We can go get some resistors and
We can hook everything else up,
yeah.
and that could be like the last.
Yeah, and so what we'll do is we'll just cut the box out once we know what the resistor value is and wire in some resistors on each line, or just get resistors that we can basically put one line in and then 2 lines on each side going out, and it won't be a problem.
You're so smart.
Hiya!
Oh. And action.
Welcome back, kids. Alright guys, so what I've done here is I've got our lights set up. We've got our routing how we want it. We've got our ground terminal block there. We're using the ones that was on the car when it was factory. Obviously we're not going to use all these grounds, but we could if we wanted to. And we've got basically most of our lights hooked up here. You'll see that there's some extra wire. And it may look like a lot, but the reason for doing this is because when we go through and we make all these wires color match, and everything's nice and right, if we ever had to do anything else custom, if Dom wanted to switch headlights or something like that, or for any reason at all we wanted to add, subtract, heck, even multiply, we would have the wiring that we need to do that. And since I'm here already and these headlights aren't going to draw a lot of current, it's real easy to tuck this stuff up and make it hide and make it look good. So always want to give myself a little bit extra. This is excessive, but like I said, there's leads on these lights that plug into where the factory harness plugged into, and I need to compensate for if Dom changes these out. We don't know what's going to happen. So basically I've got zip ties, you know, mocking everything up, keeping it real nice and clean, routing things how how they might go or could go. You know, eventually we'll wire loom this. We've got to do our wiper wires here. This is once it was cut from the bay, pulled through, this is what we had left. So we favored the body harness side and left a pigtail on the wiper motor side, the harness or the plug end. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get these color matched wires just like we did for the lights. We'll run it up through here tucked and hidden. It's going to look really trick. We'll use grommets anywhere where we've got to pass through and there's a potential for wire to get chafed. We're not going to allow that. So we'll use grommets and wire loom and really protect this stuff. So basically I'm just going to go through and finish some of these wires, finish extending them like this. As you can see, like we talked about, we've only got one crimp location for each wire. So they're solid wire all the way through, and they only crimp once because we went and got a body harness off of a car and we cut it at the firewall, and then we took Dom's wiring harness and we cut it at the headlights, so we have enough wire to do what we want to do. So this is going really well. Things are looking really clean. Once we get it all done, we'll get it loomed, kind of route things how we want it, tuck everything up, use our fender, double check our clearance. I already did that once for these. We've got tons of room the way these fenders come down. And then once we get our inner fender in, we'll check everything like that. Make sure everything's how it should be and where we want it, and then finalize everything by mounting everything in place. And then we'll check back with you guys when we've hit that step. We've got some grounds that tie back to the ECU and stuff that we don't want to cut on the body harness. Back this way that I'm going to actually wire in direct so that everything's cool there, so it's exactly as the factory had it. So that's got to be completed. But as far as the headlights and everything go, we're complete. We know where all the wires are going to be, where everything's going to go. Like we talked about, that halo setup on these lights that's outside of a factory wiring harness has just been tied into the harness. It could be unplugged and capped with a piece of shrink tube so that we wouldn't have any water incursion or anything like that. So we've tried to keep it as pretty much close to stock. All the colors are true through and through. If you had to troubleshoot at one end or the other, it would be pretty easy. We've got a factory ground set up here, tied up clean. And I think for doing these a couple months apart, even though it'll feel like that in the video, I think this side, when it's all said and done, all tucked up and everything, looks pretty good compared to that side. So if we've done our job right, obviously with the thing here, we'll take both of these. You saw that one didn't have anything here. I'm thinking about putting another tie right here, but again, I want to get everything on and be sure that's what we want to do. Same thing over here. We've got some spare grounds. I'm leaving them open until we know what we're doing. The very least we could do is just tuck these up, and then I've got the wiper wires for the wiper motor to bring through here and down through here and in. That's going to be super easy. Be quick. I'm not worried about that. We've got the stock connector. We're just going to lengthen it with the right color wires. So as far as the headlights and stuff goes, both sides look the same. They function well. We've tested everything. Everything's waterproof. So it looks good. The next step for us is to finalize everything. Once we get the body, the inside tied in here, and we get everything finalized here, we'll obviously go through, and this is all just mock-up. We'll go through and loom this, cover it up, put some tape on it, some loose wrap tape, and then re-zip tie these to where they're at, where their mounting points are at. But everything's fabricated in, everything's run. We know where everything's going to go as far as length, distance. So we're looking good. That's done. Awesome. And you guys got to see it. We'll shorten it down. If you guys have any questions or you want to see anything specific, let us know. I'll be more than happy to talk about it or to show you a demonstration. It's really simple. A lot of you guys have done this. This is just how we do it. There's many ways to do it. So I hope you enjoyed that. That'll finalize the wiring video that we've done on this. There's going to be some engine-based stuff we're going to talk about as far as the harness for the engine goes, and tucking that, but that'll come next.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Dude, super stoked.
Easy peasy, man.
Cool, guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helped you guys out, and maybe it'll spark a fire under you to get a little tuck job going on. So
yeah, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Give us feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't really care. Give us whatever you think. You know, if you like this, if you like what you're doing, hit that like button, subscribe. Yes. Helps us out, keeps us going, keeps us doing things, and showing you guys stuff. So for Build Factor at Rising Sun Auto Works, I'm Aaron.
I'm Dominic.
Guys, have a great night. Keep on building.
Keep building.